Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, and it is Remembrance Day, and welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay, and good morning, everybody. Glad that you're here. I see you piling in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Remembrance Day in Canada. We do have poppies because we do support the memory and what it stands for.
Mhm.
And also, Don Cherry told us to. And I listen to that man every time he talks.
Yes, these people.
I wish he was back, but he's doing
Yeah.
his thing now. I just saw him on X, and yeah, he's a good man. He's still kicking. Still trying to get him as an interview. That's not easy at all.
That'd be on your bucket list.
On my bucket list.
Yep.
For sure. But good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday as we make our way through. Starting to come to winter here in Alberta. We got some more work to get done.
Although it's like yesterday and today, we're meant to have glorious sun. Like the temperature's been decent. Like I think even the overnights were plus. Like it's hanging on this week. So we appreciate that while we get some last minute winterizing stuff done.
And Martin, your quick update is Paula smelled some gas coming out of our tank yesterday.
Yep. Yeah. I went to go ahead and do the rounds of checking stuff, check the tank, open the little hatch things like, smell something, hear something, called you. And basically, you got that fixed up for us. There was a small crack.
Yeah, and that wasn't part of the work I did. So just so you keep in track, like, did Jason mess up? No, actually, that was part of the tank, and that was installed originally. So I don't know if the temperature change caused the brass to crack or what, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
One of the brass fittings was cracked. We lost a little bit of gas, but you caught it. So good job on the rounds.
No, that's important when you got property, and even if generally your home, go check stuff. Check the furnace, check the hot water tank. Check things in general. Check. We check our microphones.
Yeah, do you hear us? We didn't check our microphones.
Although we forgot to do it this morning.
Yeah, and then the boys got their heat set up. So now the rec trailer is good to go.
Yeah, you got that done. I've got to teach the boys on how to manage the heat for that. But yeah, now they've got their all season room now, which would be pretty cool.
I don't know if I want you to teach them how to do all that, but you can certainly make sure it gets done for them. We'll talk about that off air.
Off
so there you go, Martin. The updates are we got a lot of gas work yesterday, fixing the tank, and it's perfect. Works great. And the boys have heat. So next underskirting, gas generator, or diesel generator, or diesel heaters. I got there in the end.
You got there in the end.
And this rest of the week is getting some wood done.
Yeah, we have our happy helper, Martin. You know him, and he'll be joining us today. And we start some work this week to get some wood ready. But yeah, no, we've got a great week coming up with the weather, the temperatures, and sun. So let's make the most of it. Not making hay, we're just getting projects done while the sun shines.
I'm just enjoying the power right now that when I push a button, she's got to talk.
True.
It's kind of powerful. Yeah. And
you got the power.
Anyways, good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. It's still a crazy world out there, but we're doing our best to kind of navigate it, get it to you. And thanks to everybody that supports us, not just in locals, but online, repost, shares, subscribe. There's your keyword, subscribe. Go ahead and make sure you like this as well. Get it out there. Every little bit helps. And of course, a little bit. Then become a member too, because if you really want to support the program, that is how we do it. And then, of course, you get extra time at the end of this daily show where we sit and chat with our guest if they can, or with you.
Yeah, which is always nice to catch up on some of the comments that you put on.
I didn't give you the
yeah, catch up on some of the comments you put on throughout the show that we can address and answer any questions. Yeah, it's always good.
There you go. So we do have a veteran, Mike from Freedom Honey, joining us today to talk about his service, what this day means to him. And he's also somebody who fights hard to keep the truth out there, people accountable, and definitely is somebody that we would probably get on just fine and maybe enjoy his honey. How many people have given you honey now? We got Corey Morgan.
One, two, little jar. 3. In my life,
no,
here, but no, recently.
Since we've done like the show and you've been out
3.
There.
You got honey.
All right, Mike, if you're watching this in a replay, make it 4. We'll try your honey.
Hello.
That button works. It works. I got to get that button in real life.
You live with me.
I know. No, I mean, I can push it and you have to stop, and then I push it and you start.
Oh, so to stop as well. I know your game. You can still hear me.
There we go. And now we both have to talk. Maybe that's the power. I've got the power.
Yeah.
But all right, let's go ahead and jump into the news because there was stuff we didn't catch up on yesterday because we
Yeah.
did fall behind on the posts. And then there's some new stuff today. And yeah, we'll get to it very quickly here. So Dacey, he was a man on the ground providing a lot of information for the ostrich situation. He's going to be hanging out there a little bit longer, it looks like, because he wants to capture, the next few stages of this.
Yeah.
The cleanup, the releasing of the land. What are they going to do? Are they going to try and shut down the rest of the farm? Are they going to require some sort of decontamination? There's a lot of next steps that are uncertain. So thank you to Dacey, to Chris Dacey, who's out there to cover some of this. And one of the things that he was highlighting here is, these were videos. So let me just. The audio though. To get actual video out there and zooming in. So thanks to the camera that he's equipped with, he was able to do this. And it's just horrible. So hopefully there's no children watching this because this just sucks. It breaks my heart every moment we watch it. Well, it wasn't necessary. There's a whole bunch of arguments about how this could have been done differently, where they didn't have to die. They, put them in an enclosure so you're not worried about open air. Do some studies, do some more testing, figure some things out. Maybe they had value, maybe they didn't. But we'll never know now.
And also, they didn't have to die this way. Terrible.
Yep, that's another factor. Is it did have to be like that? Could it have been a lot more humane? Less painful, less scary, less traumatic for everybody, not just the ostriches. So thanks to Dacey for giving the efforts out there to get that done. And of course, go follow him. And there's ways to support him too, if you want to contribute to his efforts out there. Because none of this is government funded. We're not government funded. So we work on generosity of those around us. Another thing that happened to Dacey was the police tried to intimidate him. It didn't work. But if you listen to this video, these officers are just reading part of the law, not the entire law.
Yeah.
Because this entire law actually also covers Dacey as a journalist. But they're trying to intimidate him by saying he's intimidating them and impeding their work, which is untrue. Because impeding means you are interfering with to the point that they can't do their work. Now, the accusation here is they want to do it under the cover of darkness and nobody knows and get away with it. Well, then maybe technically that might be a type of impeding, but that's not justice, and they can't do that. So they read part of a law to him to try and intimidate him. It didn't work, and Dacey actually dismissed him at the end. I love when he does that. It's not the first time he's done that. He's done this to the RCMP in Ottawa.
Well, that's the thing. He's well versed with dealing with the police.
Yeah. So go watch that video because I think he did a good job. But I think the most important thing is they read part of a law, and they left out the part that actually protects him from this kind of thing, from being exactly this. So they actually broke the law that they're not even accusing him, trying to intimidate him with. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't blocked a single thing. They obviously got their job done. They're still doing their job. Nobody's actually impeding them. And one part here that kind of got my attention was where the officer was kind of saying you're coaching people. So they're trying to do that whole thing that they got Pat King on, which is coaching. So they're going after journalists because if somebody else does something, they're going to say, well, because the journalist reported the story, it got somebody to do something. And that's why we're going to crack down on the journalist. That's the direction they're going.
I know, which leads to this a terrible direction in general thing. Also, that means us as the public should not be informed.
Well, that's what they would like.
They would love
like them
that.
to have no cameras around,
Love
do what
it.
they're going to do. Nobody holds them accountable. Nobody has outrage. That's what they would like. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No. So good job to Dacey on that one. And then I do kind of put a comment here for him. I'm so proud of Chris Dacey for standing his ground. The warning was meant to intimidate him. If he ever did anything they listed, they would have arrested and charged him. I have not seen a single instance where the RCMP or CFIA were impeded in their duty by anyone. What this reveals is they were hopeful that would happen. With the way they tried to provoke and cause a reaction, they wanted someone to impede a peace officer so they can claim that Chris and other journalists incited or coached that. And then they could charge journalists. The truth is, CFIA and RCMP were exposed by journalists like Chris. The photos and videos of the slaughter have been seen by millions, and the heat is too much. Good. The world is outraged, and public pressure is the legal and correct way to express that outrage. Shame on the two officers for attempting to slaughter freedom of the press and speech. Keep an eye on these folks, all right? You stay on the right side of the law. You may not like the law sometimes, but stay on the right side of the law, because when you don't, they create new law, and they also ruin people. I did a post here after that, warning to everybody watching, these are difficult to look at. I do have a correction, so as I read this out, there is a correction coming. In addition to the clear decapitated bodies, there is what looks like a large gash on the leg of one of the birds. This could be a grazing bullet. Also, on the bale, it appears there is a blue target spray painted. This could be for scoping a rifle. The evidence that these birds were shot at, likely while running terrified and in shock, is mounting. This would not be the humane way to call this flock. This would be the most inhumane way. If true, it appears this was done to traumatize the farm and supporters who were there listening to the hundreds of shots that night. This could also be a warning to all farmers. Don't resist. If you do, the animals will, and you will suffer. So what happened after I posted this is the CFIA confirmed they used a marksman for shooting. Okay, so at this stage now, it's confirmed by them. They did shoot at them. An error for me was, if you look really closely, and I'm not asking you to do that, guys, it's not a leg, it's a stump from a decapitation. From a distance, it lined up with a leg, and it looked like it was a leg wound, but it's not. It looks like it's a unfortunate stump. So there's a correction there. After closer review, that may not be a leg wound, but a neck stump. It's certainly still a horrible situation, and the rest of my post stands. This appears to be a shooting slaughter followed by decapitations. Very inhumane. So now we know that it was a shooting slaughter, and from the video you can see decapitations. So other than the leg wound, this post stands.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
All right, and remember, part of the narrative of this is they were contagious. They could harm humans. They're very toxic. We don't want the avian flu to cross over to humans. All of this was part of the narrative. If you watch the CBC and some of their quote experts, that's what they were doing this for. They were doing this for protecting humans. These were no longer meat birds, so they're not entering the meat supply at any point after 2022. So the only argument left by the CFIA was they could spread to humans through other means. Well, here they are. The RCMP are using nothing to protect themselves.
Not a hazmat suit in sight.
To go ahead and deal with some of the cleanup. They don't even think it's contagious or scary.
No.
They would be some of the first that would have to make sure they're doing things in a way that protects them. But I think a little more importantly, because we knew it was never an issue. It wasn't a biohazard. They don't agree either. But here's what I'm annoyed about. Why in the world are the RCMP participating in the cover-up after the slaughter of hundreds of ostriches? This is not the function of the taxpayer-funded federal police. Oh, wait, that's right. They are not the police. They are CFIA's goons that were there to do the dirty work. And what I'm getting at here is not necessarily like a legal cover-up trying to destroy evidence. Why are they literally there with pitchforks cleaning?
Yeah.
These are police.
Yeah, why?
Why are the police involved in that function?
Yeah.
That's not what we pay them taxpayer money for. Serve and protect, not clean up and take orders.
Move straw or hay.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things wrong with this. It shouldn't be the police doing this. There's no protection. Clearly, there's nobody worried about biohazards at all. And maybe there are some destruction of evidence at this stage, because quite frankly, I believe the way they did this was a crime. Some of the arguments that they made to justify their actions was illegal. I don't believe it to be true. So lying and fraud is a crime. We'll see where this goes. But who's impeding them? Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
No, but there's comments here saying that doxing, they're trying to equate that filming them is doxing, and if that holds, that means that moving forward, journalists will not be allowed to film police officers in the course of their duty ever, no matter what the circumstances.
There's already precedents for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's not doxing. They actually have to give their number up.
Yep.
Welcome to the public space. And yes, there's already precedents on that. What would be doxing is to go further, to find out where they live, provide that online, people around them. Like, certainly, that's not what any of these people were doing, journalists or otherwise.
It was at the site.
Now, here's the thing. There is laws in place, and that would be harassment and other types of things. You could be arrested for doing that. You don't need to target journalists for that. So if anybody did do that, there's things. Now, guilty conscience is an interesting thing. They're worried. Are they scared? Do they know something was done wrong?
Exactly. Do they know what they did was wrong morally as well?
So morally, they could be reacting to guilt. And when you have that kind of guilt, you really want to be left alone and nobody to know who you are and stuff like that. But look, you did something in the public. You have to then understand that the public is going to have a reaction. And so far, I haven't seen anything that's illegal. And if there is anything illegal, these are the people who know how to deal with that. So, yeah.
And then having the RCMP do these types of tasks, as someone says, makes the RCMP look weak.
It does. Like, I don't understand. This is what I was annoyed about. That's not what they're there for.
Yeah.
Other than, oh, well, maybe the CFIA is in charge of them. And all the way to, go clean up.
Go clean some hay. And then the comment, within there saying spreading it to neighboring property that was seized for access.
Yeah, look, they don't believe there's anything.
No, exactly.
Yeah, they never did. They knew it. It was all for a pony show. All right, so let's go kind of jump back into some political side of things. The Liberal Party of Canada has introduced and let in at least one snake that we know of into their party to join the rest of them. So here's my comment, and this should probably satisfy most people who say I only focus on one. No, I am focused on trying to share the truth as I see it here. So Crisscross, so that's an easier name for me to say, but Chris D'Entremont, we'll call him Crisscross now. Is certainly a snake if this CBC article is true. There are several more snakes in the Conservative Party of Canada. If you read this article, and yes, of course, I do read all types of articles. Doesn't mean I adopt them as truth. Read them. The more you know, the better. In a tell-all interview with the CBC, Chris admits that crossing the floor to the Liberals had nothing to do with fighting for his constituents or the Liberal Party's budget or path being the best for the people of Acadia and Annapolis. Okay, thank you. Like he first reported. Remember when he first crossed the floor, he's like, I got to do what's best for my constituents. I'm doing what's best for my riding. This is not personal. I'm doing what I need to do for the people of Nova Scotia. Well, he didn't believe it then, and now he doesn't believe it either, as he first reported. It has to do with he felt bullied, and he felt the Conservative Party was acting like a frat party versus a political party. What he says, these are his words in the article. Leopards may not be able to change their spots, but snakes can quickly change direction and are dangerous. More evidence that Chris is a snake is he claims to be aware of 3 or 4 more Conservative Party of Canada members who are considering crossing. If true, he would have been slithering in the halls, sniffing out others like himself who are unhappy and would also turn their backs on voters. Again, this isn't, for me, this isn't a party issue. This is a voter issue. They voted you in on a platform, on some promises, on a direction. They support you on that. This is where my issue is. I don't really care about the party side of things. I do care about the voters, though. It would have taken some time for him to do all that, and he would have needed to be as discreet as possible. So for him to even know, even one more person was considering it, there was a coffee, there was a conversation behind closed doors, and he didn't just like walk down the halls and says, I'm thinking of leaving, anybody else? Like, that's not how this went down. This was very discreet. He may have been tipped off about some other people. And sometimes these little cliques get together and they start, oh, I don't like the leader, or oh, I don't like what we're doing, or oh, I'm ignored.
Oh, we have no future here. Let's go to the other side.
Conversations along those lines. Sure. No loyalty to the voters. Again, I don't care so much about the party. I care about the voters. They put you in on that platform. You should be representing them. All right, I continue. As all snakes do, he would also been searching for a warm place to end up. Conversations with the party that's completely full of snakes would have also been ongoing for some time. Of course, they would be willing to accept one of their own in the snake pit, but like all snakes, getting the best deal for himself would be his only focus. Of course, if he's going to talk to the Liberal Party, what's in it for me? I know what I can do for you. Add
Yeah.
a vote. And of course, they would take in somebody who is not loyal and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They all are. So that's why they were so happy and applauding and hugging and kissing, because one of their own just
Yeah.
showed up, because I think they're all snakes. Continue here. Timing the announcement on the day of the deficit spending was announced. I don't want to call it a budget anymore because it's a budget in name only. It was a deficit spending
Yeah.
declaration. Was part of the deal. It gave the redirection the Liberals wanted. Very, very calculated. Certainly came at a great cost. Forget about this stuff that we just announced in the House. Look, this guy's leaving.
Yeah. But he trusts us.
The
He's
news
coming
cycle
over.
sure followed that. And that was calculated. He could have left before, he could have left later. It was calculated to be that day to distract what they were going to do. Continue here. So what has all this proven to Canadians? At best, the Liberals gleefully welcome snakes into their party. And the CPC has some as well. At worst, the entire place is full of snakes. What does this mean to Canada? The House of Commons is infested with snakes. They are tightening their grip, and they never cared about voters. In short, Canada is captured. It's each province for itself now, and I support Alberta's path towards real sovereignty. Because this should be a huge wake-up call for everybody, too. Had he dropped down to an independent and said, look, I'm going to represent my voters. They voted for me. I can still carry forward for them, and I'll fight for them in the House of Commons. There would still be respect here. But for him to provide the vote to the Liberals, turn his back on his voters, and obviously made some sort of deal to get in there and to be so welcomed, is gross.
Yeah.
That's gross. I don't think that should be happening. And by the way, that works both ways. So if a Liberal crosses the floor to Conservatives, I feel the same way.
Right.
This is not a one-way road for me. The voters voted you in. If you want to step down from a party that you no longer align with, you become independent. And then you stand up in the next election.
Yeah.
I'd love to see an independent voted in as an independent. That would open the door to a lot more of that in Canada. And I think that's quite frankly where we need to be. It would be great if there's no parties and we're all independent representatives. Anyway, so that's crisscross. You guys can start using that term now because I can't say his last name.
Jump.
Make him slither. Of course, we had Daryl Comic on yesterday. Check that out. Running for the president of UCP party. I've reached out to Rob Smith, which is the other candidate for president, to see if he'll come on. I'm waiting to hear a response, but we'll let you know when it happens. I have an imposter. Somebody's imitating me. So there's this account. If you followed it or whatever, go and do it. I've reported it. And if you can do me a solid, report it as well, because this appears to be from out of China, because some of the posts by them in my face is in Chinese. They're replicating a lot of my posts and took everything. Took my picture, took my banner, took my bio, provided links, say they're in Breton. No, I have no idea who this person is. But it's certainly not me. So if you do me a solid, go ahead and report it. And X, it's time to take it down.
Yep.
You should fight harder on this kind of stuff. And we see our guest. He's here. So we got a few more minutes.
Great.
But it's great to see you more in plaid. Wish I wore my plaid. David Parker reached out to remind that on December 10th, Elections Alberta is having him go to court. This is because he wouldn't provide paperwork that they were asking for, or something along those lines. And this is a criminal charge. So, and highlighted here, because the reason that, and this is more from him, I haven't spoke to Elections Alberta about this, but they are accusing him of being like a third-party advertiser without being registered. But from David's perspective, Take Back Alberta isn't for any particular party. It's not an advertiser for a party, which would why you would have to be a third-party advertiser if you're actually supporting a party. That's what that's for. But he's not supporting, even from my perspective, any party. He's supporting democracy, and one way to do it was to become active within the UCP, because that's the governing party, and try and become a member, take over as a part of the CA board, become a candidate, become elected. That's what the take back part is you go and take back the democracy. But others have seen it differently, and when he's gone through a bunch of fines and charges and stuff like that with Elections Alberta, and now he's at the stage where he's been charged criminally. He's got to go to criminal court. So the way I see it at this stage, and again, I got to get more information because I will go to the court to listen to the proceedings. Political prosecution in full effect. These are criminal charges for failure to file paperwork. However, the UCP alleged that the Alberta Federation of Labor, UP Alberta, and the Alberta Teachers Association, those people well, ran improper third-party ads benefiting the Alberta NDP. No public ruling, penalties, or final outcome have been released by Elections Alberta. So what I'm highlighting here is they've gone after David Parker hard.
Yeah.
And they've gone after him because they say he was propping up the UCP. However, the UCP has also brought forward allegations against the NDP support by their unions here for being improper third-party advertisers. This is it's not a tit for tat. This is, if third-party advertising is wrong, then why aren't you going after anyone that's doing it, not just the one that is being accused of supporting the UCP? So best for David on that one, December 10th. It's in Edmonton. I'm going to try and be there. Get some more of the details because, yes, Elections Alberta is not sharing much with me. David is, but not Elections Alberta. So I'll see what they have to say at trial. Follow the science, folks. Remember that mantra, follow science. So the Daily Mail, this is real news. This is true. I've double-checked it, cross-checked it, all that kind of stuff. Olympics set to ban all transgender athletes from female events after finding scientific evidence of advantages to being born male. I can't even believe that we have a world where we have to go, oh, yeah, there's science that say males are stronger.
Gosh.
Good step in the right direction, but holy smokes.
My pet peeve with this one.
Yeah, I know it is. You're a double X. I'm an XY. That's where we're different. Follow the science. Does this mean people are waking up, or evidence that those that said, supported, ignored, and fought for men and women's sports are morons? Now, remove all men from women's washrooms, change rooms, and private spaces. Men are not women and never can be. I'm sure there's some people fuming. I don't care. That's truth. Men are not women, and you can never become a woman. So hopefully this is something that's going to keep going. The Trump administration started pushing this ball hard, and now the Olympics has been confirmed. It's all over the place. The International Olympic Committee is not going to be allowing
men in women's sports.
Males in women's sports.
Yeah.
Good start. Keep going. There's our Don Cherry. Don't forget your Poppy. And thanks to Mike and others, we have the honor to be able to remember the efforts and the support that Canadians all enjoy because of people like Mike. So thank you to Don Cherry. He was a martyr for all of us because all he said was these people don't understand what the Poppy means. They were trying to go after the Poppy. That's really what started all that. And unfortunately, that woke media and the people that worked with him took a knee.
Yeah.
We love you, Don. Thanks very much for your support and reminding everybody again, wear your Poppy. And then we're going to kind of end up here with Lauren Southern. Reached out to her. We're connected. But she's releasing some audio of the Canadian Securities Intelligence Service, CSIS, trying to recruit her.
Yeah.
And some of the manipulation and the head games and the threats. You won't be able to see your children. You can't travel to the States. You better join us. Nobody will know. You'll be a secret. I'm not even sure what they're after. Like, she's a reporter.
Yeah.
And she has an audience. But what are they after? Are they after controlling what she talks about? Like, I don't even get this.
Yeah.
But thanks to Lauren who had the kahunas to go ahead and be a journalist and put it out there. So, this is our Canada. It's always been like this, by the way, folks. This isn't new. This has been going on for a long time, even before I was born. They control narratives. They control narratives. Paul Derry We had him on a couple
Mhm.
of times, whistleblower, because they got him involved as the RCMP informant. It's been going for a long, 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 long time. But thanks to Lauren for exposing it. All right. So on that note, let's go ahead and get into our guest of the day. And remember,
Yep.
oh, Mike,
Hey,
surprise, there you are.
hey, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Really, really appreciate it.
No,
I'm
thanks
happy
for
to.
coming on the show with Freedom Honey as well. I really appreciate it. Also, of course, thank you very much for your service.
Thank
And
you.
you came highly recommended. I reached out to my little community and said, hey, who should we have on for Remembrance Day? And yeah, thank you very much for being on here today. How are you?
Awesome. Yeah, just again, thanks for the invite. I don't know. I'm gonna start off. What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about
Yeah.
you. First, let's get into your service. We can get into Freedom Honey as well. You're an Albertan. We can get to anything that's going on here. There's a lot going on here. I've
Oh
gone through your
yes.
timeline. Yeah, we align quite well because we're just common sense, conservative Christians out here trying to do what we can. So I appreciate all of that about you. But let's start with your service, if you don't mind, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I did 12 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, regular force. I was actually a mechanic, kind of specialized in the armored fighting vehicles towards the end of my career. Went to Afghanistan 2011, deployed to fires and floods and a bunch of other stuff. Um, I started off like I'm actually. It's funny you mentioned all the Alberta stuff. I'm like I'm actually an Ottawa kid growing up. Moved out here and got transferred out here in '09. Fell in love with Alberta, married an Albertan, and have no desire to ever go back. This honestly, the decision was on a piece of paper. You know, do you want to go to Petawawa? Do you want to go to Edmonton? And I was debating, and it literally came down to, am I gonna have to go to Sunday night dinners at my mother's house? And so I said, no, let's give Alberta a shot and let's see what happens. Uh, I for me, I was lucky. I had a really good career. I had terrific chain of command. I had awesome friends. I'm still close with a lot of the guys. Terrific experience overall. I was lucky because I got out right before COVID hit. I got out 3 months before that. So I was really, it was really beneficial for me in that it didn't leave like that stain and disdain. That happened after. But yeah, so we started that. I own my own business. The Freedom Honey thing we do is kind of a side thing just to kind of give back, and that's how it all started. Um, Originally, when my wife and I decided to move out here in the middle of a swamp in Beaver County, in one of the old outbuildings, we found all this beekeeping equipment. So I asked a couple of my army buddies. I was like, "Hey, you want to give this a shot?" And they're like, "Yes, let's do it." So anything we make, we just donate back to the Veterans Food Bank here in Edmonton. And then after about the first year of us making mistakes and the bees dying and us trying and failing and all this stuff, we were starting to have a little bit of success. We were making hilarious videos of us getting stung because we didn't have the right equipment. For example, my business partner Pedro decided to buy the cheapest suit on Amazon he could find. And Pedro's kind of, if you look at my timeline, Pedro's built like a Pedro. You know, he's not a small guy, and he bought the cheapest Chinese suit he could find. So within a matter of minutes, it ripped open, and the bees got in the suit. And anyway, it was adventure after adventure. And then everything kind of took a turn, and this is why the Veterans of Freedom stuff and the advocacy all kind of changed. At first, we actually found out that working with the bees ended up being very therapeutic. Ended up being very good for guys that have PTSD. A lot of my buddies are injured from the war and stuff like that. So we'll get them over to the farm. We'll get them in the suits. We'll work with the bees, and it's actually the resonance that the bees create a calming sensation. If you guys ever look into frequencies and stuff like that, that stuff I do believe in it. And working with bees definitely creates a calming, soothing state of mind, and you're able to just focus on what you're doing, and it's good for those guys. So I mean, they just come out to the farm, we drink cheap beer, and hang out and do bee stuff. Um,
Cheap beer and suits.
yeah, yeah. From there, then I mean, COVID happened. My business partner Pedro, he was one of the vets that got kicked out for not taking the jivy jab, and that's when I at this point I was furious. I did burn a lot of bridges with some of my previous coworkers and bosses that are still in because I was furious with the way that they were treating these guys. He was essentially placed on house arrest for 9 months for a crime he didn't commit just because he didn't want to take it.
Mhm.
Um, and it sickened me. He got into a depression. He's cool with me telling this story because he wants it heard. We had friends of ours in Rebel News and stuff like that that did stories on him and stuff like that, kind of monitoring what was going with everything. The legal battles and all that stuff. And then the convoy happened. The guys from V4F, they saw we had our podcast. They saw we were talking out, speaking out, and they're like, "Hey guys, we like what you guys are about. Why don't you come work with us?" And then we tried to build this network of shows, and it was good. It was a really good positive experience. Um, Going from, I would guess, a couple of guys that have no idea what they're doing out in the swamp to a little more advocacy and trying to help the other troops and raise some funds for the lawsuit and all this stuff. So yeah, that's how I went from, I was in uniform, did all that stuff, good career, got out good, started up this company, and now we're just causing, like yourself, causing trouble on the internet until the government decides to wipe us out.
Yeah, big targets on us as well. But
Yeah.
your voice and the way you talk, there's a frequency there that's very calming and relaxing. So you have a podcast as well that the V4F guys kind of saw and got
Mhm.
behind. So you know Drew, and you probably know Jeff and the rest. Good group of people, and love the hat, by the way. What's your take on? And here's kind of just a question to kick things off. What's your take on poppies? Because I know some people feel they don't want to support the Legion. So what's your take on that?
I'm kind of in that boat. I mean, personally, me, I never
Mhm.
take mine off. But to me, yeah, the funds go to help some good causes and stuff like that. So it does give back to that. We kind of really spoke out against when they were starting to put drag queen story hours inside of legions. I understand that the legions are suffering right now and are needing extra funds and everything like that. But I'm like, guys, I mean, you could have done a bake sale. You could have done something else. Um, Big issues with that. Also, I mean, legions are now ran by civilians. Very few of us guys ever go there. I mean, they always tell you when you get out of the army, oh, join your legion, help support and stuff like that. No one does. I think a handful of guys.
And what
Uh,
was your take on the James Top issue? They kicked him out and that kind of stuff too.
Mm.
so actually, I served with James Top. We were at the same regiment together. Actually, I remember I actually met him before everything kind of went down. The year before I left, and he was decorated, very calm, collected guy. Like I said, very very decorated, very awesome guy. Um, the He was made an example of. Everybody knows this. I
Mhm.
think what he did, marching across the country to try to bring awareness to what was happening, was heroic, for lack of better words, and something that should have inspired people. The hatred that he got, the vitriol, the court martial, everything. Um, he didn't deserve it. He's a, like I said, he's very humble. He's very quiet. He's kind of stepped back, gone back into the shadows, and kind of doing his own thing. And I mean, if he's peace, if he can find peace and quiet, I'm all for it.
Come listen to your bees and hang out with you with some cheap beer. That might be helpful too. Have you spoken to him recently, and how's he doing if you have?
No, no, I just hear through the grapevine. I know Drew and the rest of the guys talk to him. Like I said, I haven't really I haven't spoken to him in years.
Nope, fair enough, because he actually wants it that way. I know that. We've tried to have conversations with him, and he's just kind of recovering from what the service put him through
Yeah.
after he stood up for Canadians. Unfortunate. So with honey, Freedom Honey, is that online? Like, how can we get a jar? Because Paula loves
You
honey.
know what, Jason? Right now, I'm all sold out. It is.
Well
That's a good
done.
thing.
I have no issues keeping it in. I have issues keeping it in stock. Honestly, it sells out every year within days, within weeks. I have to hoard some over for like the families and friends for Christmas and stuff. But I'll put you on the list for next year. How about with that?
Well, you
We
just
Yeah.
told us just become family, and then we can get on that Christmas list. So
yeah, you know
yeah,
what?
we'll
I'll
figure it out,
send you.
Bill.
I'll send you the Freedom Honey and the Freedom Jam as well. How about that?
You're
Oh,
awesome.
jam too. Nice.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And you do this for fundraising. What is your other business? You mentioned that you're a business guy.
Yeah, I own a field servicing company. My wife and I, I'm a mechanic, so we started up a field service company, fixing large equipment, and we sold our last one a few years ago, and the when we sold it to, actually we ended up selling it to Brookfield, to be honest. Yeah, not Brookfield. This was before Carney was in charge, so I don't feel so bad. From there, the staff got very angry. I ended up going to work for a competitor for a little while, and the staff left and they said, Mike, we want to start up our own thing. He's like, we need you. And I'm like, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. So my wife, myself, we got right back into it. Just went with the rest of the old staff. And now we're honestly just stealing their contracts at this point.
All right, so you're
Mm.
on probably in Carney's nightmares. Everything about you, he probably doesn't like it at all. Albertan, vet, competitor to Brookfield.
Mhm.
Like he probably is not a big fan of you right now.
I was, like I said, I think what happens with everything that people, there needs to be more voices out there. I always say on my show that you need to put yourself in a position where you're ungovernable, you're untouchable. Um, there's a lot of fear, a lot of stigma out there that especially in the vet world, guys don't want to talk up because of fear of losing their benefits. I mean, right now they just cut $4 billion out of the VA budget. We're probably going to lose benefits.
Oh
Um,
That's
boy.
terrible.
and
Well, they're
so
taking care of Ukraine though, right? Isn't that important?
Oh, Ukraine, and now they're looking at hiring, 300, 400,000 civil servants to do our job, which, for me, I'm all in. I'm going to sit back with a bowl of popcorn and watch this go. I kind of want to see this failed experiment. I want to see Heather or Karen from HR go out there with a C7 and start marching around the square. Minutes
Yeah.
of fun, the way I look at it.
Don't forget the Jennifers too. So the Heathers, the Karens, the Jennifers, get them out there
Oh
and
yeah,
fight.
Get Paula from HR, get Pablo from IT. I mean, it should be
No,
really good
we
stuff.
leave the Paulas are minding their own business and fighting the good fight from home. Leave the Paulas
And she
alone.
wishes we had HR. We don't have HR.
No, we
Maybe
don't
she
have
needs
HR.
it though.
I mean, that's what it is. We just have all the HR departments, the IT guys, the maintenance guys. Have them out there too. Why not? Let's go nuts.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're correct. It is going to be a failed experiment. Absolutely correct.
So tell us a little bit more about what you're talking about here, the
Mm.
300,000 civilian members or what they're talking about there.
So they're basically, so when we got out of the army, they have when you leave, you actually sign a piece of paper that asks you if you want to join they call it the supplemental reserve. That is basically a 5-year commitment that you make, that in the event, for instance, if we went to war or we got invaded or something like that, you're on the real short list to get called up and your qualifications still stand. So that's the thing. You always, after you get out, you have 5 years and all your qualifications stay. So if I were to get out, all my driver's qualifications, my weapons handling qualifications, all my courses, everything that I did throughout my time would remain. So, I mean, I did sign up for that. And then, all they do is they call you once a year and asks you, hey, did your address move? And sign this piece of paper saying you're still registered in case something ever happens. Now that I was looking into this was my rabbit hole of last night. I didn't realize that they include those numbers into the reservist numbers.
Got it.
So when they talk about, oh, we have 40,000, 50,000 reservists, they're omitting the thousands of Canadian Armed Forces members that have got out but have still signed on that dotted line. There's no training requirements. There's no nothing. It's just literally you're on a roster. So this is
So
what they want to do.
where's the other 250,000 going to come from to make up 300,000 then? Like all of us? Are we being asked to, or is some of it mandatory?
They're
Like,
gonna, from what I've read, they're gonna go through the public service. I mean, do it. If it's if, like I said, if you work for Canada Post or you work for the CI, Revenue Canada or something like that, and you wanna make a couple extra bucks on the weekend marching around the square so you can bolster our military numbers, so on our NATO commitment, we look better. Go nuts. I mean, give them a couple, give them $84 a day like they do for the reservists to go march around the squares.
Well, I know 343 they can start with. They fit in a house in Ottawa. Maybe start with them and put them on that list. Lead by example.
You know,
So is this like?
oh,
Go ahead.
so no, it leads to the bigger question, and I've had this when it comes to recruiting and stuff like that. I've had this discussion with many of people. For one, I actually personally like the idea of conscription of to do like Switzerland and Norway and Denmark and all those Scandinavian countries and where Turkey, where if you're 18, Israel, if you're 18, you mandatory do 2 years. After that, then go to college, university, everything like that. I think for a cohesion of a society, even if you're medically unfit to train, it would be nice to see something like a civilian, you could still do some work to the logistic wise, work in an office, file papers, do something like that. That may not be, battlefield orientated. That way you can really, the nice thing with that is you have an entire society now that's all served together. The people I serve with, these are my best friends. These are the guys that I would do anything for. They call me in the middle of the night, I'm there for them. And to have that, to be able to have that much of a social cohesion, really is huge. So I am in favor of that. Even there was a lot of stuff talking about bringing not temporary foreign workers, not landed immigrants. What's the other one?
Permanent residence
Yeah.
or
Yeah, permanent residents, bringing them into the forces. And to me, I don't see a problem with that at first, but at limited amounts. I do like the idea of like service guarantees citizenship. I think that's an awesome way to get people, small, but like I'm talking like 500 a year. Opening the floodgates to try to bolster our numbers, that's where you get into massive problems.
Like we have now in general of our population.
Absolutely.
says
You open the
Yes,
floodgates,
that's
you're
it.
just
I came here legally.
yeah.
I came here legally. But yeah, and I, I, the conscription thing, I think it may even help the current generation and the next generations to teach them the discipline that perhaps they're not getting within the school system, and give them that focus, because there seems to be such, well, we see it really in the US of whether I don't stand for the US, I'm ashamed to be American, all that type of thing. And so I do wonder that having that type of level after school, as you're now classed as an adult, may help clear the brain fog and get people a little bit more proud to be who they are within that country.
Well, our little guy, he's looking forward to turning 12 because he wants to be an
Yeah.
air cadet. And I was a sea cadet when I was a younger guy in the middle of Winnipeg, by the way. There was no sea to be found, but I was a sea cadet out there. And there's a small path there. But I
Mhm.
do like the idea that everybody actually understands and tastes it for a little bit. What would conscription look like to you? It would be a 5-year thing. It would be kind of like Israel. It would be like the U.S. Like, what are you
2 years,
thinking?
yeah.
I like the idea of having a 2 year. Also, it gives somebody I give someone that little bit of a bump in between high school and post secondary. It gives them if they try something, say they go some kind of logistics trade, supply or something in computers or something like that, and they realize they don't like it. I mean, they could still do it through the military, but now they know that, okay, yeah, no, I want to do something else. Or if they go into a trade, like myself, or a vehicle technician or welder or something like that, and they realize they like it, well, okay, this is going to be my career. They can always help out still with that. I think that if we move on to the topic of Alberta independence, you talk about this is Remembrance Day, this is Canada. I mean, I am all in with the Alberta independence movement right now, and mainly because I think what the big shift for me was when they started offering veterans aid instead of the help that they needed. That was the moment where I clicked.
Yeah.
But I do believe that if we do create our own nation, conscription should 100% be on the table. That way, we automatically have an army. We build it up. It's generation after generation after generation. We all fall under the Militia Act, and then you create a very coherent society like Switzerland, for instance. You go there, you'll get on a bus, you'll see a guy come on a bus with an assault rifle, and the guy's going for his annual range training, and it's just part of it. The houses have safe rooms in the basement. They've got, if you live in an apartment, you have a locker in the basement for all your fighting stuff and your weapon, and they put that into their society, and nothing ever happens. It's like Poland, nothing ever happens there.
No, fair enough. And
Yeah.
an armed society is a safe society too. And I do kind of like that direction. I suspect a lot of the weak liberals or NDPs will flee if they have to do that, and that's kind of part and parcel in this. Tom Marazzo, we had him explain to us how Alberta could create its own forces in an independent Alberta, and we have bases here. We just have to put more people in there and kind of ask the other ones to leave. How would you see that kind of transition happen from a military standpoint? Will we just empty the bases and fill it up with Albertans? Will we ask who wants to stay? How do you see that kind of working?
The first thing I would do is canvas of the vets. I would help instantly. If they needed me to go help train or teach or spend evenings and weekends and stuff like that, absolutely. And I know a lot of the guys would. Um, you would have to recruit, you would have to start, but you would have to find retired guys, and I mean like the old school dudes that they're in their 50s, they're in their 60s now, to kind of help build this training system. The nice thing about that is you're getting rid of all the woke stuff, all the liberal stuff that they've put in over the last 6-7 years, um, and you can really kind of start fresh with the idea of what it means, like the warrior spirit, if you will. There's enough of us Afghan vets kicking around that I'm sure they would help to build a force for a nation. That's where it comes. You'd have to canvas. You'd have to see, hey, anybody with previous military experience. It could even be from a different country. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's try to build this from scratch. Figure out, what we're gonna try to. It would be basically for the first few years. I think it would have to be all a reserve army. It would have to be 100, until we can bolster the numbers. To then we can start creating a small, full time, regular force, and then build on from there. But
Would
you'd
you
have to play on anybody who's got experience.
would you be for
Mhm.
working with the US to go ahead and address security? Maybe they had a base up north. There's conversations around that as well.
100%. I think right now, I mean, we are most of our defense right now relies solely on them. We have very little footprint across the world, and I mean, anything happens in our look, our freaking, we got invaded by our freaking weather balloon, and it took days and days and days until anything happened, and it was the Americans that shot it down.
Yeah, after it
Um,
went across all of the US and
Yeah.
Biden too at the end, right? What do you think about Carney when he mentioned Canadian boots may be on the ground in Europe, in uh, Ukraine, that kind of stuff?
Well, right now, I mean, we do have the large mission that's happening in Latvia. Um, I remember when that first started, I was in one of the first kind of meetings for it when they said they were going to set up a NATO stronghold in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. The different countries would take different countries would be responsible for the different countries, to build kind of a NATO stronghold. And they always told us it was for Russian advance. And I even remember being in a conversation one time where they were like, if the Russians invade, we have to hold them off for 24 hours or some junk like that. And I'm just like, we won't last 24 hours. Um,
And what is your thought about NATO now, though? Should Canada be part of it? Does the world still need it? What are your thoughts around that?
I think globally, it's weird. It is, I will say it is a deterrent to some aspect. Right now, I mean, the West has become depleted of manpower, equipment, finances. We're running on a shoestring budget here, and we don't have the bodies to create a sizable fighting force. Meanwhile, you've got China that is building like their umpteenth aircraft carrier. They're
Yeah.
building the largest flotilla known to man. Um, there is safety in numbers, and eventually, I mean, you don't build an army to do nothing. That's the thing. If you look at history, you'll never, kings, emperors, they all had the ones with massive armies. You know, it costs a lot of money just to sit that there and do nothing, just twiddle their fingers. So something, you don't spend all this money building a massive army, navy, air force to just have them sit there and rot. So I do think something's going to happen. Um, do I think do I think it's going to be against the Russians? I don't think so. I look at China as being more of a threat. A few of those other countries over there. I think that Arctic sovereignty right now is kind of a big deal. I think personally, I think the Americans should just. This is where we talk about American influence and stuff like that. I don't know why Canada never allowed the U.S. to build a giant, massive base up in the Arctic to basically protect the entire all of North America. I mean, we could have made good cash, running supplies and all this stuff, but I mean, people don't realize like Russia's next door if we go that way.
Mhm.
Um, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't think we're as our country, like we're not capable of really doing anything. Um, I think NATO had their time and place when it came to the Cold War. We were going against the Warsaw Pact, all that stuff. The Iron Curtain has fallen. I don't know if it's a matter of transitioning into something else, or I'm like most vets at this point. We're just tired of the forever wars. We're tired of the Middle East. We're tired of our resources getting dumped for somebody else's conflict. Um, Ukraine has been an absolute, for lack of better words, clusterfuck,
Mhm.
and it's a constant resource drain. And I mean, you've got these politicians that'll go up there and say, we're in it to the end, and we won't ever stop. And I'm like, well, when does it stop? Till there's nobody left to fight? Till Russia's taken it all over? And they're like, well, we tried. How much more are you going to keep dumping into it?
Well, you
So
you bring up some good points around China because China practices. They train in Canada. They've got police forces, and they've got something like 12 or more icebreakers. They're definitely getting ready for something. I don't think they're going to go visit the penguins. Um, so yeah, I think you bring a good concern there. The South China Sea, you got Taiwan. There's a couple of other things that could become very hot pretty quick. Are you concerned that that's happening? Like, are you when you're talking to your buds or people that are still in? Is there any ramping up on Canada with that, or just all focused in Europe right now?
right now, I mean, everybody that's still in, they saber rattle about Ukraine, and it infuriates me. Like I have friends of mine that went to Ukraine back in 2017, 18, when we were helping train their army and stuff like that. And I mean, I couldn't believe some of the stories that were coming back from these guys. They're like, Mike, he's like, we went there and we trained Nazis, just
Hmm.
just straight up. That's what they were. He's like, I had one guy that I was teaching him how to like tow a tank, and he had a bullet wound in his leg, and it was getting all gangrenous, and they didn't care. They all knew they were gonna die. It was truly um it was the they all of the guys that we trained when we were over there knew they were gonna die. Every single one of them. They would get that
Wow.
night. Their tents would be just littered with liquor bottles. They'd show up to the training in the morning being completely wasted. And they even said, they're like, this is our respite before we go back to Donbass.
Mm.
And it's like, they even said, they're like, why are we training them? I'm like, they're ghosts at this point.
And if
So,
that's their
Yeah.
mentality, then yeah, they're not going to do the right thing, or it's just going to be a shell of a person. And speaking of a shell of a person, we got Trudeau, who said to all of you, "You're asking for too much that we can give. We can't
Yeah.
give what you're asking for." But yet they're shipping way more overseas to other stuff. What did that mean to you? Because we should be caring for our vets at all costs. They're the ones who provide this to us, and
Mhm.
mental health and PTSD, Veterans Affairs. You're being turned. They're turning their backs on you.
yeah, I think, like I said, it was always fighting with VA has always been a struggle. It was never easy. Trying to get claims and stuff like that. It's always a fight. Friends of mine had to wait years to get certain claims approved, to get the help they needed, to get mental and physical, and even for me, I got a bum knee from one of the floods. I ended up doing a terrible knee injury. I still serve for 8 years after, but it hurts every day and twice as bad when it's cold. Even just to get help with physio, I mean, I only got approved a couple of years ago. So
Oh,
it just didn't, every now and then it flares up. So I got to, do a little round of physio and stuff like that. It's not very much money. I get a stipend pension of $26 a month for that injury, but actually it's up now. It's $31. But that, like I said, for me, I was lucky. I came out and I had no real emotional or physical or mental issues or anything like that. The other guys, my friends, it's hard. One of my good buddies, George, he had just he was the death in Latvia, the soldier that they just buried. That was one of my good buddies that I've known for years. We went to school together. Like I think he was the last one for this to happen to. And he had a family and kids. I knew his wife, I knew his kids, I knew, and it would that kind of hurt. That hurt. And especially when then all my friends are, they're calling me and they're being like, "Oh man, George, like we never thought." He's like, and these guys are scared because they're like, what caused him to do this? What was the trigger? And the thing is us helping a lot of guys that are in this position. I'm kind of the catch-all for a lot of these phone calls. After what happened to him, my phone rang constantly for 2 days, and guys are checking in and they're asking like, "Hey, like, I don't know, man, I'm going through issues too and stuff," and it's very overwhelming. Um, that's why we need to really focus on the help. When they had, how do I say this? Mark Minke, God bless his soul, from the Operation Tango Romeo podcast, was the first vet that got the phone call from the vet that was offered MAID. And he called me immediately after and said, "Hey, he's like, you'll never believe the phone call I just had." And he's like, "I'm done talking to you. It's Mercedes Stevenson from Global News." And so we exposed, V4F was huge with exposing that stuff. We found 7 individuals that had been offered MAID instead of the help that they rightfully, needed. And this is where it brings me to tears to think about it, because these guys that make that call asking for help, they're at their end. That's the hardest phone call they'll ever make in their life. To actually call someone and be like, "I'm at my breaking point, I need help." And then when you've got one agent that just, "Hey, we'll take care of you, we'll take care of your family, they'll get your pension, we'll deal with all your arrangements, everything will be fine." It's real easy to push you over that edge. And then
Terrible. That's how they support them.
through our investigation, through Blake Richards, even did his own, and he found 20 individuals, and more are coming forward, and there's lawsuits and everything. For me, that was the moment where the Army died for me. If you
And you
won't,
mentioned that. Go ahead, sorry.
if you won't take care of these guys, then what's the point?
Okay, Mike, we're going to wrap up on the public side. Can you hang out for a little bit?
Yeah, sure, man. Thanks for having me on the show, everybody. I appreciate being on. If you guys want to check out my podcast, it's Twitter at Live Free Honey. It's the highlighted comment. And thanks again for having me on the show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Truly our honor, Mike. Absolutely pleased to have met you and hear the story. And just please hang on for a bit. We'll be right back with you, okay?
Yeah, we'll go chat with our members, our local members in the private
Sure.
sector area.
Yeah, we'll be right
Thanks,
back with
guys.
you. Okay, so listen, this is called Remembrance Day because it's not to just remember the sacrifices. That is a big portion of it. It's also to remember the now.
Yeah.
We still have vets. We still have people going through things. And for our government to be offering things like MAIDs as a solution, or bumping it from $26 to $31. He didn't say 100.
Yeah.
$26 to $31 for an injury. And then have a prime minister say they're asking for more than we can give, and another one saying boots on the ground in Europe. Remembrance Day isn't just remembering the past; it's also the present and also the future. And if we do want to be protected by gentlemen like Mike, who will make sure that we stay safe and secure, we also have to have a force that's welcoming to them, and they know that they feel supported.
Yep.
And won't be left behind. No man should be left behind.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, but looking forward to the conversation we'll have in our members area right now. But otherwise, everyone, remember 11 o'clock, have your minute of silence. We do ought to pay respect and remember those who have served and those who are currently serving. And it is a sacrifice. They are stepping up. So I appreciate that. But otherwise, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the morning.
Thank you for being here. Never forget, lest we forget, wear your poppy, show your respect, whatever it is that you want to do for them, but never forget. And go find a veteran, go hug a veteran, and thank them.
Yeah, shake a hand. We did on Sunday.
Yeah, one showed up at church. It was a very good service.
Yeah.
So love you all very much, and God bless.